And I just sat there. And my husband said, "Did you put your hand up?" And I said, "Yes." So now I had to go forward. That was when I was born again. Doesn't that sound exciting to you? There I was cringing and wondering, what am I doing? But then I thought, wow, I think God was going to hit me with some kind of a magic wand, and my whole life was going to be different, and I was just going to go flying out of there. I was going to sprout wings, and it didn't happen that way. I was in ignorance. Many of the church today are in ignorance. Some through fault of their own, some through fault of others. So, from that day on, folks, I became an Israelite. And I started my journey wandering in the wilderness. And I have to tell you that I wandered in the wilderness just like the Israelites for 40 years. I could have been out much faster. I could have been out in 11 days, so the Bible says. But I wandered. It wasn't that I didn't have a desire, I just didn't have the teaching. And I'm not blaming anybody, because I could have picked up the word and read it. I could have sought out. But I was new, this was new to me, there were just so many things I didn't know. One of the things that comes to mind is that if we have cell groups where you can get in a little circle of believers and learn the word and be mothered or fathered, whatever, spiritually mothered and fathered by that group, how important it is. So this is a lesson that I've learned along the way. Now, during my 40-year wandering in the wilderness, my marriage started to break down. And this came to me this morning as well, that I remember one of my children in Sunday school saying that she broke down and cried, my daughter, and said that there were problems in the home. And the pastor did come to me and said, "This is what's happened this morning in Sunday school class, but I don't remember anything being done about it." There was a cry for help, but no one came to the rescue. So things got really progressively worse, and I developed a wilderness mentality. You probably, well, I don't know if you know what that is. I'll tell you what it is in case you don't know what it is. I became rebellious. I had a negative emotion and mindset. I backslid when things became difficult. I had a bad attitude. I was asking God, why? Why me? Why am I in this situation? What did I ever do to deserve this? I wanted somebody to do it for me. I didn't want to take responsibility for myself. I wanted somebody to make it easy for me. I can't take it if everything is hard. My behavior may be wrong, but it's not my fault. I was making excuses. I wanted to say to you this morning, you know, there's another partner in the marriage that contributes, but I thought that would be making excuses. I went into grumbling and fault finding and complaining. So if anybody wants to do those, come to me. I am really good at it. I can teach you lots of things. And then I said, don't make me wait for things. I deserve everything immediately. I'm very impatient. God's still working on me. And I had a victim mentality. Well, if I hadn't got married to him, and if this, and if that, and if whatever. Lots of excuses. Then I went into self-pity and blame shifting. And then I said, I'm going to do it my way or not at all. And what happened was that my marriage fell apart. I felt that I was isolated and left alone. And of course I made a nice, great, big, fat, wrong choice. And I went down the garden path. That's sort of putting it nicely. But God's hand was on me. And we talked about that this morning in class. I didn't look at it then that God's hand was on me. I was going through this wilderness mentality. I was asking all these questions. Why? Why me? What did I ever do to deserve this? And why can't other people just do what they're supposed to do and then I'd be all right? And all those things. But now that I'm getting closer to the last half of the book, I can look and see that God saw everything that I was going through. And God had his hand on me and wouldn't let me go out of the palm of his hand. And that's the wonderful part. Now through this, I became a nurse. I thought that I was going to be a mummy at home. And that's sort of the generation I came from, and I was going to be a stay-at-home mom, and everything was going to be wonderful. Well, I was told that shouldn't I be getting out and working, which came as quite a surprise to me. But you know what? That was okay, because I became a nurse, and I believe that God was in that, because I love nursing. I just loved it, and I thought, I'm fulfilling some of the purpose for God in my life of being a nurse. Now that's not to say that I didn't go back to my wilderness mentality. Let me see, what was it again? Grumbling, fault finding, and complaining. Whoa, can you ever do that? Well, when you're a nurse. Oh, the people you work for, the people that you see, the people, oh, you could go on and on. But through it all, God blessed me. And there were days when I would go into a patient and I just knew it was a divine appointment. And sometimes I got blessed. Actually, there were times when I was ministered to and I said, hey, wait a minute, that's not the way it's supposed to work. I'm supposed to minister to them. But see how good God is. And there were some days when the divine appointment came and I was so excited. I thought I did have wings. I flew out of that house and I used to phone my little friend, some of you remember, Laura Schaefer. And I'd say, Laura, you'll just never know what happened today. It was so exciting. And so God did set me up many times with people. And we talked about the things of God. And you know, as a nurse, you're not supposed to do that. You're only supposed to do your nursing things. But when I worked for VON, God gave me such liberty and such freedom. It was just unbelievable. So even though I was in the wilderness, I was making a few steps forward. And then it came that I one day was very sad and depressed, and there was another lady from the church that I had gone to, and I went to see her, and I was sort of beside myself, and she said, you know, why don't you come tonight? There's camp meeting going on at Good Samaritan Church. Why don't you come with me? And I said, well, yeah, that might be good, but I can't because I have a singing practice tonight. I went to my singing practice and no one was there. So I said, well, I guess I can go to camp meeting.